Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Get Weird Together, where we talk about how being weird is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And we are continuing with the Psychic Fair series, even though Psychic Fair is now in the past. Thank you to everyone who came out April 11th. And today we're talking to Shari, or Hari Captain, of Communion of Bliss, who is our Ayurvedic expert. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was such a blessing to meet you and how getting you into the fair was just so organic too.
Yes,
Yeah.
we both met at the ecstatic dancing, and so we've seen each other a couple of times there. So I'm just glad that I was brave enough to voice what it was that I was doing, the project that I had, and with that, you made the inquiry to ask if I would like to vendor at the psychic fair, and I was like, absolutely. So
Right. Like you said, oh, I do Ayurveda. Like when we were doing there was a closing circle, right? And it just went bing. I should talk to her.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that made me, be like, okay, I want to speak out more because you never know who you're going to see, who you're going to meet.
Mhm.
And through that, I was able to meet so many amazing people. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Like it was wonderful.
Yeah, it really was. I met so many cool people, and not all of them were even able to make it there. So,
Oh yeah,
oh
but
yeah,
you're planning to have another one, so hopefully.
yes. It's we haven't officially announced it, but yes, I do have the date and the theme. So it's going to go in a whole different direction thematically.
Okay, all right,
Like
that's exciting.
everyone's going to be a different because I used to do a lot of theater, so like creating events and being really creative around these is, it's not just about psychics, it's about because the last one was pollination, which is why you fit in so beautifully.
Yeah. And I love the theme. It's like it was really fun. I'm really into like the Renaissance type of stuff, like, dressing as fairies or my alter egos and stuff like that. So that was nice to be around other people who are like that as well.
So do you go to the Ohio Renaissance Fair? Have
I've
you?
never been. Yes, I never been. I want to. I want to.
Yeah, the fairy weekend I think is the first weekend, so in August
Okay,
they
August.
start. Yeah. I don't I used to have all the weekends memorized, but I know the importance one, which is the pirate weekend, which is around my birthday. So yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go in August then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a lot of good themes.
Yeah.
So
I have to find a new costume because I wore my fairy costume to the event. So
you can wear it again.
you
Honestly,
know what? I can.
you can. You know how much I get so much use out of my one pirate outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, I even wore it when we were in New Zealand and went to Hobbiton. I'm like, I mean, I had a different hat, of course. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm
no, that's
probably and then.
the things about costumes. I think you should wear them all the time.
Yeah. If you're gonna have them, it
Right.
to be worn again.
Yeah, just like any other piece of clothing.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Amazing. So, how did you get into Ayurveda? What drew you to it?
Okay. I have a story, it's a journey with that. It was kind of post COVID. At first, I was in media school. I'm a right brain, so I'm a creative. So I've always wanted to do media, but at some point, I knew I was going to do something with health and wellness. So at first, I thought I was going to do this wellness on wheels type of thing. And that was the vision, but I guess I wasn't really clear on that vision because what God, gave me was this bus. And this is not the green bus that I wanted. My vision of the Wellness on Wheels, it was called the benevolent green bus. And I would
Mhm.
travel around the world, and on this bus, it would be filled with all types of books, and children, mothers, anyone can come on the bus and read and learn plant medicine and stuff like that. But then I had a car accident, so I ended up all my savings went to buy a new car. So that vision was no longer. But I knew that I guess somewhere in there, God was just organizing things for me. And
Mhm.
so post COVID, they started opening up things back,
Mhm.
and there was a rec center it was the Tuttle Rec Center, and there we went foraging. They taught us how to forage. We would make individual formulas with like different type of herbs, orange petals, oranges and stuff like that. So that was like the first tea making thing. And I didn't even know that, you know, down the line, I would start making a business in, you know, making teas. I didn't know that was going to be my offering. But then the second synchronicity, it was a chakra healing book. I forgot I believe the author's name is Heidi. But yeah, it's a chakra healing book. And that's where I first learned of Ayurveda. And in that book, it mentioned not only the chakras, they talked about Ayurveda, the doshas, the elements associated with Ayurveda. And I was like, wow, this is new and this is interesting. And so I became really interested. And so I started reading more books. And then the third synchronicity, I went to a vegan festival. And a lovely couple, Leela and Prim. And at the vegan festival, that's where they invited me to the temple. It's the Krishna house here on it's West 3rd Street. And I went to the temple and we engaged in chanting, worship, you know, praising, gratitude to the deities. And there was a lot of emphasis on the Vedic philosophies, Ayurveda. And I was like, wait a minute, is this the same thing as Ayurveda? I didn't know that it was connected. You know, I didn't know the origin of Ayurveda. So I was like, okay, I put this puzzle connected to this puzzle. And then it was like, okay, I guess this is where you want me. So then I decided to go ahead and enroll into the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda. And that was 2022. And so once I enrolled, after that, after I graduated, I just started this, you know, Commune Bliss. I started doing business with Habar, which is an Ayurvedic herb and spice haven. And, you know, I'm doing like the Habar pop-up shops, but the real vision is Habar, you know, having this Ayurvedic herb and spice haven. So that is how I got into Ayurveda. That's how I, you know, got inspired to give people that offering. So yeah, and with Ayurveda, they do have a Lord of Ayurveda, and the Lord of Ayurveda is known as Lord of Dhammatari, and it's a beautiful story. You know, I think it's so amazing with Eastern medicine that there is a God for medicine. I think that that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just love it. I love the Vedic philosophies. I love studying Ayurveda. It is connected to who I am, you know, as a student of the metaphysical, you know, with the elements and all that stuff. So it's wonderful.
So of all the things in Ayurveda that made you decide this is my thing, what's the one that was that brought the most relief? We were like, oh yeah, this is why I relate to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I want to say the spirituality aspect to it. Yeah, 100%. Because in my journey, you know, because like I said, I started going to the temple and I started becoming more what they would say Krishna consciousness. So just kind of being more into spirituality and, you know, exploring all different routes. That is what I loved about Ayurveda, that there was this focus on spirituality and medicine. And yeah, that was beautiful to me.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But you said you were into plants and plant medicine even before you discovered this. So what drew you to working with plants from the beginning?
So yeah, this was kind of like before, like a little post-COVID era, you know, era. And I remember I started gardening. I was just gardening. That was something that I was doing, especially from doing the herb classes at the rec center. And so I just started, that became a hobby for me to, you know, grow my own foods like bell peppers. I tried to grow potatoes and stuff like that. I fail every time with the potatoes. Like I'm not like, I might try again this year, but it's probably too late. But yeah, I just started gaining a love for it. And really, honestly, I kind of during 2020, I kind of became like a conspiracy theorist. And so
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like I was watching all the documentaries, like the what the health documentaries and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And just with the knowledge of how bad the food is, and
Mm-hmm.
even at the hospitals, they serve these foods that make the cancer worse, which it makes
Mm-hmm.
no sense to me. So yeah, just going back to how it was back in the day where we would
Mm-hmm.
forge our own, plants and take them medicinally and stuff like that. So I guess I just started remembering. I probably always been, this always been a part of me, but I
Mm-hmm.
along the journey, I just started remembering. And that's what synchronicity, I feel like it's about. Like when you receive all these meaningful coincidences,
Mm-hmm.
it's a remembrance, it's like, you're supposed to be here. No, go this way. No, this way. No, this way. You're starting to remember
Yeah.
what you're here to do, what
Mm-hmm.
are you going to offer.
Yeah, I concur. That's one thing that my teacher Viana says. Um, even though she has a modality she created, she still acknowledges that she's helping your soul remember how magical you've always been,
Yes.
right? Because eons ago, humans, we were telepathic. We had all these skills, right? We would live a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And I think with, a lot of the food, the diets and lifestyle that we put on ourselves, it can definitely make it more hard to remember, you
yeah.
know?
Well,
So, yeah. So once you start clearing yourself, from the old and go
mhm,
into the new, you get that clarity. And that's what's been happening for me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh, did you ever have that where the question just like ran away from me? Oh, that's what it was. So you
Yeah.
said you were kind of into conspiracy theories and COVID. So what do you mean by that and how deep did you go?
Oh man. Yeah, 2020 I didn't believe in COVID. I did not believe it exists at all.
Okay.
So it did not manifest in my reality because I did not believe in it. I did not put any energy, attention, or any
Hmm.
vibration on it. I hated the thought of it. I hated when people talked about it. So
Right.
it was not in my vocabulary. I did
What
not
did
believe.
you hate about it?
Just what did you not hate about it?
Well, well, no, I'm fascinated by how your brain works. Because here's the thing: when I was a girl, I wanted to be a virologist. So I love viruses, but I also know how to work with them spiritually and energetically,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. So I was spending COVID understanding what, the shutdown. I was understanding what COVID wanted and how to release it from people
Mhm.
instantaneously, which is different. But you also just said no, which I think is also brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Because in order for us to catch a virus, let's say for a moment COVID was real, like, but in order for you to catch it, any virus, you have to be in a vibrational alignment with it.
Mm.
So I love the fact that you're like, F no, I just don't agree with you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But tell me more.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I guess of course, what I obviously didn't like about it is I mean, it put so many people in fear. Like, all of a sudden, just 2020 happened. It was like around March, and they just was like, all right, it's this virus. Everybody staying indoors, and everybody was in fear. And then I started watching all the old movies like V for Vendetta and more movies that were similar to what was going
Mm-hmm.
on. And I started diving into the Dr. Fauci guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And I was reading more books about
Yeah.
like doctors and researchers who
Mm-hmm.
did not believe in it. They too didn't believe in
Yeah.
it. It's a book called Plague of Corruption by Judy Mikovich. And she was arrested multiple times because she was just spreading this information that COVID is false, you know,
Right.
and they just took her to jail. And I think it's just,
Hmm.
I don't even want to think about it because it kind of makes
Right.
me mad thinking, about, but your perspective of it, of your love for pathology. And
Yeah.
so that's a different perspective, and that's interesting as well.
But I also know that we all create our own realities, and there can be like subgroups of realities, right?
Yes.
So it could be for some of the population it doesn't exist, and for some people it does. So
Right. And that's why I couldn't just, go up to someone
Right.
and be like, no, that doesn't exist. And they're like, well, my grandmother passed away. And I'll be like, not from COVID. You can't do that. So I would just let them be in their reality. Let them, if it works for them, good. It didn't work for me. So yeah, it wasn't in my vocab.
Cool. So what were the other things that you discovered in your, when you were educating yourself during COVID?
Yeah, so uh definitely the because I started going to the temple, so I started chanting more, and I started just kind of growing more into my spirituality. I remember when I did the podcast, Have No Fear, Synchronicity is Here. I was kind of more on the energy of things, and
Hmm.
there is no personal God. That's what I was on,
Right.
kind of on. Everybody at the time, they were all on this consciousness thing. And I remember I didn't even know what consciousness was. And I remember Googling it, and it said the state of being awake. And I was like,
Huh.
everybody is conscious. I didn't comprehend it.
Hmm.
And then later, I watched this 4 hour spirit science video that kind of
Hmm.
down all of the things that I was inquiring about or that my soul wanted to remember. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. This is it.
Gotcha.
So I started diving into spirituality more. I started diving into the mind more. You
Hmm.
know? And yeah.
Awesome. So when you're going down these rabbit holes, right, and you're getting people's theories around things, how do you personally discern from or decide like this is something I can lean into versus, I'm not sure if that's really true. Like how do you discern?
I want to say feeling. I want to say feeling for sure. I am a big book reader. And it's a book called Conversations with God, and by Neil Donald Walsh. And
Mm-hmm.
he says feelings are the language of the soul. If you want to know what's true for you, think of how you feel. And so I come across a lot of people, a lot of I don't know what they call, like people who are divine beings, I guess, if you will, and how they get their confirmation. Some people get it with chills or
Yeah.
um, and they've said that. And so I started kind of tapping in a little more and started, inquiring, okay, how do I know what's true for me? And I will say, the confirmation for me, it is feeling, and feeling as in, sometimes I'll get like emotional, when, and yeah, I'll get emotional about something, and I feel like that's confirmation that it is true for me. Um,
Right.
so it not necessarily a emotion of like extreme sadness, but sometimes it can be sadness, but it's just this weird emotion that just comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the chills sometimes I get, where you get the little goosebumps and stuff like that, and that's how I know it's true for me.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of psychic gifts do you have that you're in touch with?
Okay. So I'm tapping in. I'm tapping in. But you had mentioned before, you spoke about the downloads. And
Hmm.
I have been on that, for some time, realizing that I am one to receive downloads. And when I mentioned of having to clear my mental state, my field, so that I can receive those downloads better,
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing. So my divinity, I do receive downloads. I've been doing the tarot reading. So I like to do that. I only did it on a few people, but I do it with myself all the time. Um, but yeah, I would say downloads, tarot reading. And that's actually an interesting question because I have been inquiring, okay, who am I? What is my power? You know? And so um, I've been looking, I've been paying attention more on that, on realizing what that is, or like we mentioned before, remembering what that is. What is my power? And I'll say I am a divine being who receives messages and downloads from the universe. you know, and me just being the compassionate being that I am, I'm always, I'm here to serve. So I'm always looking at what it is that I can do to offer to someone else. So with Communion of Bliss, that's an offering. Really, I was thinking of how did Communion of Bliss come about? And I was getting all my notes and everything together. And I started realizing it was already written. Communal Bliss was already written. It was just up to me to remember that this is my offering unto the world and unto myself, really, of contributing that bliss to myself, and once my cup is filled, I'll be able to transmute that to everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
I hope I'm not talking fast. I'm also,
Oh,
my body type, I'm a Vata. And if you know a little bit about Ayurveda, Vatas, their elements are composed of air and ether. So we're very much in the crown. And it can be a lot of scatteredness. And so we also have this quality of being mobile. Um, there's this cold quality to Vata individuals. So with that mobile quality, I can be a very talkative person.
I've been told I have a lot of Vata, but I've also spent a lot of time learning how to speak slower because I've had so many international students, people who English is like their second or fifth language.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really fascinating as a kid, people would tease me and they said I was going to be an auctioneer when I grew up.
Oh, really?
So obviously I have learned how to like pace myself and also working through translators. So it's been interesting, like the ways that yeah,
Yeah.
I've been balanced out over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the slow speech, that's, I think that's beautiful. It kind of just is soft. It's kind of without fear. You
Mhm.
don't feel that nervous energy. Sometimes there's been people where they can hear my speech and they're like, "Don't be nervous," and I'm like, "I'm about to stop, please." So I try to
Yeah.
get back into
Mhm.
that kapha energy, which kapha's element is earth and water, and those kapha individuals, they tend to have this monotone, and so I'm able to fluctuate back and forth.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for me, this is all the way I speak now is all training. It's all on purpose. Because I learned I love language and I love English, but I also realized when I was in San Francisco doing these readings that I had a lot of weird idiomatic phrases that were mostly Midwestern. So not only did the San Franciscans not necessarily understand what I was saying, anybody who was English as a second language had no idea where it's coming from.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting, like overnight, basically having to change my entire language in order to do readings.
Right. Yeah. But it
Yeah.
works for you. So,
Huh? And then the pacing came later. So yeah.
okay.
So when you're working with people in your experience, what is the biggest thing that stops someone from healing?
When I'm working with someone, I would say discipline. Discipline, absolutely discipline. In Ayurveda, I'm not going to say the Sanskrit word because I may butcher it, but it starts with a P. And there's a saying called crimes against wisdom, where it's, that, you know, it's where you're doing something that is not good for you and you continuously do that thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a guilty pleasure possibly, but different
Yeah.
vibration, yeah. So
Yeah. A
yeah,
guilty
okay.
pleasure. But with Ayurveda, along the lines of diet, lifestyle, and it's bad for you, but you're doing it anyway. So I could, be formulating some herbs for an individual for a specific ailment that they have. And maybe they'll be like, "Oh, this herb didn't make me sleep," or whatnot. Then I'll ask, like, "Okay, well, what are you doing, for
Mhm.
it to not help you sleep, for it not to give you what it is that you're looking for?" When they say, "Yeah, I'm still having trouble sleeping," okay, well, what time are you going to bed? What time are you getting up? Are you drinking the tea at a certain hour? So it's just discipline. Yeah, discipline.
Get that. And what is the most common crime against wisdom that you see people do?
The most common crime. Everybody loves food. Everybody loves food. Food is pleasure. I think
Mm,
food is luxury. I think there's time, even myself, if I'm not really feeling to the best here in on the material world, that is a pleasure. Food is a pleasure, that I like to go to, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel, better. So I will say maybe food is that, the thing that people struggle with,
mhm,
um, because yeah, food is luxury, but even like with the idea of fasting from a meal or food, like I talked about, of clearing our energy field so that we can
mhm,
have that clarity to receive those downloads. But maybe we are consuming these heavy foods, these foods that have a heavy quality, or these foods that contribute to a more cloudy mind, you know.
mhm,
And I do that. Like, I love me my, if I'm feeling emotional, I go to fried fatty foods. That's my, that's what I like, And in that, Ayurvedically, it kind of makes sense, if I'm feeling like dull or, uh, yeah, or depressed, I like to go to the spicy foods. So I'll do like a seafood boil or something like that. And that, spicy, that hot quality, it's very stimulating. And so it's the opposite of depression. And so when you're doing it like that, it's like it becomes medicinal, because you're knowing thy body, and you're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm eating this food so that I can get this. So that's when it becomes good. But when you become greedy with
mhm.
it and it causes harm, you know, that's the problem.
So I can see how the discipline comes in because like knowing what your mood is in and what you're feeling and then eating according to that day by day, does that mean you really can't plan ahead or are there ways to adjust it on the fly?
Definitely you can plan ahead, and just also with what, when I say knowing thy body, so knowing how you're feeling, kind of scanning your body slowly, and really kind of paying attention as to what it is that you need, so if you are noticing there is some dullness, you'll do kind of the more stimulating foods,
Mm-hmm.
you know if it's more of like that excess heat, where it's like, let's say you're having that irritability, then
Mm-hmm.
let's bring in the cool quality. Let's do some blueberries, let's do some rose tea, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, so Ayurveda believes that like attracts like. So you would heal with the opposite quality,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so simple, like, so.
Right. Although is it easy to intuit the quality of foods or are there some that when you learned they were like, you know, dull or bright that surprised you or did you like, oh, of course it goes there in that category?
N- some of it made sense. Like the hot foods, it makes sense that that with something being so hot and intense and stimulating,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense that that would, kind of break through anything. That will break
Right.
through depression. That will break
Mm-hmm.
through, let's say, if you have some excess metas, which is fat tissue, or
Mm-hmm.
um, if you have that toxins in your body,
Mm-hmm.
that heat is so stimulating that it will burn through that, kind of like a forest fire. A forest fire, you know, when it spreads and it destroys, everything in the process.
Mm-hmm. So what are the qualities of tomatoes?
Okay, so tomatoes, that's actually considered a nightshade.
Mm-hmm.
Tomatoes, I actually don't really, I'm not a fan of tomatoes. I do like if it's fried.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tomatoes, I don't have a problem with that. But tomatoes are, acidic. They definitely have a heating quality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, tomatoes have a heating quality.
Because my brain went to, so is gazpacho still heating since it's a cold soup?
Okay, is that with tomatoes?
Yes, it's a traditional Spanish dish. It's basically cold tomato soup. Is the yeah. It's more complicated than that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if it is a tomato, it would have that heating
Yeah.
quality to it, but you're consuming it cold,
Hmm.
so you kind of got a double whammy, you're like balancing it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would balance it instead of confusing it, is what you're saying. So would it be more of a neutral effect then?
Yeah, it would be more a neutral effect, but also depending on, like I said, knowing thy body, what it is that you need,
Mm.
so you'll be able to scan your body and see if that heat, that hot quality, did it irritate you? That cold quality, did it bother you? If
Yeah.
not, don't worry about it.
Okay.
you
And
know.
so in the modality I practice, we do muscle testing. Is that also a part of Ayurveda?
So Ayurveda, they do check your pulse. That's another
Okay.
way to determine your dosha. They also recognize the different marma points. There's, I believe, about 108 marma points.
So what are Marma points?
Okay. So marma points are like so with throughout our whole body, there's different and we only had a short in my Ayurvedic studies, we only had like a short class on the marma points. But they're just these different energetics all along your body. And similar to like EFT tapping, you're
Hmm.
able to tap on a point and, kind of transmute that, transmute it, by just tapping on it, releasing it.
Okay.
So yeah, they recognize that it's these different points of the body. So depending on, you're able to know also where the pain is too by these points on the body. And so, some, even similar to Reiki healers, they kind of just put their hand over that point.
Hmm.
And but you would have to be, advanced to do that. I'm not advanced in Marma. Um, but I have, studied a little bit about the EFT tapping. I remember when I was going through a bad relationship, I would do the EFT tapping method. And the affirmation was like, okay, even though I'm going through this, I love and accept myself. And you tap on all these points, and they believed that was releasing the energy, that was stagnant.
Did it work for you?
The Marma point, the EFT tappings, yeah, it
Okay.
did work. Yeah, it did.
Cool.
Because I am all about affirmation too,
Hmm.
So with that, there was a lot of positive affirming, saying, hey, even though this is happening, acknowledging it, but releasing it afterwards, and then feeding it with something else, with a new affirmation, that everything is going to work out, period.
Oh. So of the modalities you've dabbled in, what's been the favorite outside of Ayurveda?
Synchronicities.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I want to say synchronicities just because, and it's not something that I'm doing, synchronicities. I'm not making these synchronicities happen. Like I said, synchronicities are meaningful coincidences, and it's, my way of remembering things. So when I receive a synchronicity, that's a remembrance. And that is what makes me more excited too about being here on this material world called Earth, is that you have these, meaningful coincidence, and it's not for nothing. Everything is for a reason. And then it's like you just put each piece to the puzzle, and it's just fun, just putting it together. And it's you can become less serious about life, just knowing that this is just a hero's journey, and
Mhm.
we're just in it, you know um and the more we remember our divinity and what we're here to do, I believe the more, life will get better, for people and for myself. So yeah, synchronicities. And that's a term coined by Carl Jung.
Mm-hmm.
And so diving really into him and studying him, and you know uh just the science of it, is just amazing.
Have you checked out there's a Jungian society here in town?
No, I haven't.
I can get their info. They came to talk because my friend does the Kava Talks right on Tuesdays. I don't know if you've been to those at Casa Cacao.
Okay, I get the newsletters. Yes.
Yeah, but they've had the Young Society show up and there. It's actually seemed like really fun. So
Oh, okay. Yes, please let me know about that. I would love to.
yeah, absolutely. You can, yeah, I'll make a note of that because I have to write things down or I forget.
Oh no, you're fine. Because I do get the newsletters.
Yeah.
I didn't see the young what you were talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I think they came, I think they talked last summer, so it's been a while.
Oh, okay.
They were there. I went through a phase of going to every single Kava Top without even paying attention to who was talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like something. What was it called again? The
The Jung Society. Just
Union Society. Okay,
yeah.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, they're out of OSU, I think, but yeah.
Okay.
No, I love Jungian psychology too. I grew up on it, so
Okay.
like
Yeah.
cool things. I don't currently have it, but for a while I had. I don't know if you know that he actually wrote a book on the major arcana.
Okay. I don't think I'm familiar with the book.
I literally just I forgot. I'm see now I feel like I feel silly. I'm gonna have to look that up and put it in the show notes, but I will let you know when I remember the title.
Yeah. So you're probably really into the like law of attraction and stuff like that.
I mean, I work with a lot of different laws, but yeah. Yeah, like the modality I practice, we believe that our body is just a representation of your belief systems. So we're always working with like, what do you believe? Why do you believe it? How does you help you to believe these negative things? So that way you
Okay.
can let go of it because this is just an avatar, and we're all creating our own reality. And so, the laws that I work with more often is actually the law of justice and the law of truth are my two big ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, and I love what you were saying that this body is just an avatar because that's the big emphasis, with being at the temple and the Krishna consciousness community, is that this body is just my coat, and my soul is the one that will live on or transmigrate into another body, or maybe I won't come back to Earth at all.
Maybe not.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see. We get to have all sorts of different experiences because I also do a lot of past life stuff. And one thing that I've discovered is that, like, sometimes we actually do have a lifetime where we are a silicon entity inside of lava. Most humans have also had a lifetime where they were a fairy because we, like, sort of come up the different planes of existence,
Mhm.
right? That's
Okay.
really fascinating. What we get to do before we're like, oh, I think I'll try this human thing.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
have been channeling
Mhm.
like fairy,
Mhm.
archetypes and stuff like that. I remember I was watching a channeling video.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with channeling and stuff like that? Yeah. So I was watching one with Roxanne. No, it wasn't Roxanne, but it was a channeling video, and she channeled a fairy called Calandria,
Mhm.
and it happened to be the Calandria. It happened to be this flower that was in her backyard, and but when this fairy kind of made itself known to her, the
Mhm.
fairy basically was like, "Hi, I'm Calandra," and so I just thought that was real interesting. How she was able to channel that and how it was connected to something, in reality, here. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. There's a quirk with, I talk to a lot of trees, right? And they have a lot of different ways that they can give us their name.
Okay.
Usually if they like me, they will shoot like it's sort of like fireworks, like colors and light out of the top of their right, all of the branches, right? So, because all things are just vibration.
Right.
So that's the most common, but sometimes they'll be like, I'm Bob because they're like in a bad mood and they don't want to talk to me. So they'll give you like a weird human name just to be snarky.
Really?
Yeah, oh, it's so funny. Or sometimes it's just a sound, but like I think especially trees that don't interact with a lot of humans, like they can be really, really funny when you try that. But I've learned also over the years to be really tender in how I approach them to see if they're even open, just like, when you're reading the body language of a cat or a dog.
Yeah.
They're pretty funny with the names they make up to give us.
Yeah, I heard that they can be like tricksters. They love to play around and stuff like that.
Well, I 1,000% believe that all of our trickster myths from across the world are from because everybody has a trickster, right?
Hmm.
As far as I know, I haven't studied mythology without a trickster. So I just believe that's just from humans' early interactions with fairies.
Oh, okay. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes.
and that's why we have these trickster myths is to warn us not to have caution, to warn us to have caution, because like fairies are powerful, but they're also coming from a different perception, a different reality than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That because at the fair I was dressed as a fairy, but it was kind of a mixture of the god Pan as well.
Mhm.
And with the god Pan, I don't really talk much about that because once you start talking about half man, half goat, people are like, what? But with the god Pan, how that came to me, I don't know. I want to say that that's a remembrance thing, or it's
Mhm.
connected to something of who I am. I'm a Capricorn,
Mhm.
and so Capricorns, they're like they're the goat, and I remember I was in media school, like that. I'm a
Mhm.
creative, so I've always done media. My career center at Fort Hayes was audio production, and one of the things in audio production they call is panning, where
Mhm.
you can hear a sound, it goes back and forth, left and right. And so I kind of just I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of stuff that kind of associate with pan or the word pan, I'm very much drawn to. And I didn't even know why that was. Like I
Right.
loved the Pan's Labyrinth. I love Peter Pan. I love even learning about the God Pan. Like he just loved his instruments. He
Mhm.
loved to have sex with the nymphs. He loved to play, and people were afraid of him, and I feel like
Well,
there's a similar story with me and Pan.
I mean, Pan, I mean, you can also say he might have been connected to Bliss and to plants, like all the things that you're into. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was a whole thing where like the Catholic Church decided to, because they basically created the devil as we know him now, because there literally was no horned devil.
Mhm.
It's just when they were trying to convert in Europe from, everyone being pantheist and being pagan, they had to make someone bad. And so they chose like the horned god or the pan-like ones or the goat worshiping ones to be
Mhm.
like, well, that's what the devil looks like.
Yeah.
But that was a complete fabrication because before then, even the word witch didn't exist.
Hmm.
So, yes, you're welcome. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, I'm saying you're welcome in a snarky way because I'm also descendant of those assholes. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Because I'm like, pretty Germanic. But like, yeah, it's interesting how like when you have the wild beauty, the wild uncontrolled like things, and there's people who want to control it.
yeah. That makes me think, and I don't, that makes me think because I recently have been into the Bible more, and I've been kind of watching The Chosen, and it was I seen the scene where Jesus wanted to build his sanctuary where they worship Baal, and Baal is like
Hmm.
similar.
Yeah.
And they were questioning that. They was like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And Jesus was like, well, to show that there's evil will not touch this sanctuary or whatnot. And
Yeah.
so my thought was also, it was just a thought. I don't even know if I should
Mm-hmm.
verbally say this, but I was like, what if? Because I'm into the taboo and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, what if Jesus was another incarnation? And I don't know. I mean, that's a stretch, but
No,
I'm
no,
just saying.
no. I will bring you a book.
Okay,
Have you heard of Mithras, right? So,
Mithras.
Mithras. I,
Okay,
I can't recite his legend, but basically, there's a lot of people who believe that Jesus was like the 12th incarnation of the same story, virgin birth, all the different things.
okay,
Does that make sense? Like, it's just that he had the best agent, and that's why his story became the most popular.
mm, okay.
So,
I have to read that book then.
it's,
With it,
I will, okay.
because it
Chosen.
was just a thought. It just came up, you
Well,
know.
I mean,
And then with panning, meaning left and right,
yeah.
back and forth, Jesus as this bad entity, and then this good entity. I don't know. It was just kind of like,
Fascinating. Yeah.
it was just a thought.
But
And I
here,
think that that's important. Sorry to interrupt you, but to just make those relevant inquiries, too, while you're here. Like,
Mhm.
so I think it's usually I don't speak like this to people because they can be like, oh, that's weird, you know. So I'm glad that I'm able to kind of just open up and just kind of speak on what goes on in my mind.
I mean, weird's in the title of the podcast for a reason, but
Yeah.
I honestly believe that, I treat the Bible like another book of mythology. It's
Okay.
just stories, right? There's probably some divine intervention at some point, but it was also like written down by men who had their own thoughts on things. And I
Yeah.
know people are going to be very mad about me even saying that, but I spent my high school years at a theology school because my
Hmm.
mom was getting, I have many theologians in my family. So I find
Yeah.
it very fascinating. And I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway.
No, I agree that it definitely is, written by man, for sure.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh, except for the book of Judith got taken out, right? So I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
So we had the Apocrypha, so four extra books, including the one with the most badass woman ever.
Hmm.
She chopped off this dude's head. I thought that was great because I was a really morbid kid. But the more important thing is, one thing I love about what the Catholics did is they, because a lot of the places are monotheistic. It's like God only, right? One
Right.
God. But they're like, okay, there's Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Mary, and then like 50 million saints. So instead of having like all the different deities, right, like your gods up high and all of your earth goddesses, like a lot of other religions have, it's like we're gonna give you like a book this thick full of patron saints for every single thing.
Hmm.
So they were
Yeah.
able to work with the people and like let them have their beliefs and just rebrand it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I could definitely see that. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
it's pretty fun. Anyway, down a rabbit hole, so I can talk
It
about it.
is fun, but I will
I
say,
love. Mhm.
kind of going into religion a little or spirituality or just talk, it is fun,
Yeah.
but it can be like, because it can be overwhelming too, because everybody has these different beliefs, and you can
Hmm.
never get another individual to understand what it is that you're on. So sometimes there can be this cognitive dissonance where it's like, someone else has a belief and they go against yours or whatever. And then they change a little bit of your belief, and now you're like, wait a minute, I thought I knew this, and then, so it can be uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah, it can be. But
Yeah.
I love having these debates because like I'm learning so much from talking to you. There's new perspectives, which I absolutely love. Where we get in trouble is when we start to tell people, no, you have to think like me and you have to believe like me and you have to prioritize things the same way I do. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if you knew, but there were some gentlemen who paid us a visit outside with signs.
No.
We got protested hard.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, we're all going to hell, blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't even anything like original.
Hmm.
And here, part of me was like, that you have every right to say those things, but we also made sure that they were like back off the sidewalk and we're stopping people from coming in. But those
Yeah.
are people I mean, yes, they have a right to say things, but my problem is when you're telling me what to believe.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand. And one of the things I love with the Krishna conscious community, even it's a book, The Science of Realization. And in that book, it talks a lot about relevant inquiries. And it says, as long as a human being on earth is making those relevant inquiries, then
Yeah.
they kind of have access to those heavenly realms, that they desire or whatever they believe,
Yeah.
but just make those relevant inquiries. And that's what we do all the time. Make relevant inquiries. So the people that were marching and like saying, you're going to hell, are they making relevant inquiries?
No, because I looked the one guy in the eyes and I could see, because I love to have religious debates. Like one of my hobbies in college was to let all of the people come, like that knocked on your doors, and I'd actually debate them.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this guy was not there for that.
Oh,
He was
okay.
he was looking for a fight.
Oh,
Well, I'm not giving you a fight. I got better things to do.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like, again, I love the word relevant inquiries. That's so cool.
Yeah. Relevant inquiries. And it's like less pressure, less pressure of trying to figure. I mean, because I've always been
Mhm.
a person who made those relevant inquiries of who am I? Where did I come from? Or about,
Yeah.
the sky and God and the universe.
Yeah. And
I've always been the eternal student.
here's one thing that gets me about these guys, right? Is they're trying to force their will, their beliefs on other people, which is basically going against my free will. So how does that not make them Satan? Because
Mm,
Satan's problem was, he tried to go against the free will of man.
yeah.
So if you're being a Bible thumper and trying to change people or tell them how to believe, sorry, that's a maybe a little bit of a stretch, but
No, no,
that's probably what I'll tell them next time I see them if I decide to engage, which I probably won't.
yeah. Well, hopefully you won't have to see them again, but who knows?
We have a plan. We have come up with a plan if they
Okay.
show up again. That's very
What
interesting.
What do you think? Because I look at the church and I wouldn't know that it's is it that it's the church of the sparkling unicorn that they are so.
Oh, no, they were there for the psychic first specifically because they were saying that yoga is evil, psychics are evil. That specifically our
Oh,
church
okay.
was. No, that would be bad if they were coming after the whole church because there's events there all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be pretty uncool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
also some people who live in the neighborhood got fed up with them too. So yeah,
yeah.
you're not welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Jesus, it seemed like he was going through a little bit of psychosis. I don't want to have to say that, but he was, but he knew Jesus was like, they was like, he was like, they was like, why can you heal and do all these things and we can't? And he was like, because I believe, like,
Mhm.
so,
Well,
yeah, even the things that he would hear and all these things, and I'm reading it and I'm like, maybe he had a little bit of psychosis. So psychosis too, so I don't know.
who knows?
Yeah.
Although that's the first step in getting rid of ghosts. If you want to be a ghostbuster, you have to believe that you have the power to do so.
Mm.
That's actually so when I train people, um, it's just come really clear that an important step in your psychic development is to understand your relationship to the unseen world. So when people reach a certain point, they're going to start having ghost experiences.
Mm. Okay.
And all
Yeah.
you got to do is know, like, wait a second, I am not powerless. If I connect to my source, whatever I call my source,
Mm-hmm.
and say, yo, source, take care of this, then that's all you ever have to do. Actually, ghost busting is one of the easiest things, but I've seen so many really talented psychics and healers get stuck there
Mm.
and they stay in the fear,
Okay.
especially fear of demons. Demons are like one extra step. You're like, yo, source, what's the name, right? It's like, but we make it out, we make ourselves feel so small as opposed to realizing that when we connect to divinity, we can create anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Even of how you asked me, kind of a little bit about my divinity, and I spoke about the synchronicities and stuff like that. And I had said to myself before, um, wherever you're at in your journey, or whoever you believe,
Mm-hmm.
I say God. God will give you more of that. So if I receive my messages, or if I feel like I communicate with God through that way, through angel numbers, through
Mm-hmm.
synchronicities, through finding different objects and stuff like that, which is kind of like a form of law of attraction as well. I'm going to receive more of that because that's what I believe,
Yeah,
So I'm going to have more of that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you want to share, like, what's your religious background before you found the Hare Krishnas?
Yeah. So I would say I grew up Christian. Um, yeah, growing up, we would always, it would always be Easter Sunday where we would always go to church, with my aunt and them. And they were like, my uncle, he was a pastor and stuff like that. And, when I say that I've always been the eternal student, I really have always been the eternal student. I remember it was a time being young where, I remember I wanted to get baptized and my mom had to sign a paper for me to do that, and she lost the paper. And I remember crying and bawling, like, Mom,
Oh,
I can't get baptized. And so just imagine that, as a child being young and
mhm.
sad because I couldn't get baptized. And I remember my first experience. I've talked about this myself before, but I don't know if I don't know what was going on. If it was something bad that was happening, or I was just curious. I want to say I was just curious, but I remember it was this big old tree in front of our house. And I remember stepping outside and saying to myself, what if I don't even want to admit this, saying to myself, what if I yelled out, F you, God? What would happen? And I don't know why, as a child, why I was curious to do that, but I was just curious about God and who God is and our Savior and stuff like that. So I was like, if I say that, what will happen? So as a kid, I did that, and I don't know why, but I don't know. I just thought of that, and that's interesting. But yeah, being you when you're a child, you have that innocence.
Yeah.
Children play, they're not really thinking about God or making relevant inquiries. Why am I going out to a tree to see something because I'm curious about it?
Wow.
Instead of playing with mud pies.
I don't know. Some of us are making the inquiries and curious about our entire existence. But the message I'm getting right now is like, if you say F you God, God's I'm like, okay, I love you, right? Because
Yeah.
like you're just being you. That's what unconditional love is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe in a God that loves us unconditionally. And I also don't believe that cursing is bad, even though I do censor, I don't use it a lot because of politeness.
Right. Yeah.
But I honestly believe that the thou shalt not take God's name in vain is more about, it has nothing to do with the language that we use.
Okay.
And it's more about stop killing people and blaming me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
I
I
think I
was,
was just curious.
yeah.
And I now I affirm myself as the goddess of chaos, the goddess of play, rhythm, and vibration. So
Yeah.
with being the goddess of chaos, I feel like that was just a part of me.
Well, I love it too, because honestly, in a way, I feel that plants are kind of chaotic too.
Okay, yeah.
Right? To me, especially vines, like, yeah. But in a good way, right? Because people always associate chaos with bad, but we do need a little bit of chaos in our life to really get us out of, just like with Ayurveda, if you're too stuck in the mud,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're getting complacent, a little bit of chaos. Because there's actually a rune that literally means like the chaos that intervenes to shake you out of things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of chaos, I was integrating on myself. It's been this bird that's always showing up on my windowsill, and it's this black bird. And I wasn't sure if it was a raven or a crackle, but I feel like it's a crackle because of its annoying sound. And so
Mm-hmm.
I did some research on it, and they said that those birds are really destructive and very chaotic. And so that's interesting. We're talking about chaos because I read that, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously that bird came through twice to
Right.
send some type of message. But the
Yeah.
fact that they are considered annoying birds and very destructive or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like something that I might need to pay attention to because I have been
Mm-hmm.
on appreciating chaos.
Right. But
Yeah.
it's like many things, like fire, there's a time and a place. You don't want the fire to burn the whole house down, but you want to cook your dinner, right? But
Yeah.
that's also an energy that's good or bad depending on context, right? Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you need destruction or
Yeah.
in order to recreate. So we need
Yeah.
chaos.
And with the fire, I want to say I've been on, I feel like I kind of been like having this energy of increased pitta with the
Mhm.
fire element and the water element. It's been a mixture of anger, but also sadness. But with that anger, I know that the anger does transform. Absolutely. So I'm looking, I'm paying attention to that and making sure that my fire is not spreading to the point where it's explosive,
Right.
but to the point where it's transformative. So I appreciate my fire, and I like to say I appreciate my pitta. Or like when I'm too fiery or cussing, one of the things I say is excuse my pitta, excuse my pitta.
Yeah.
But it's gonna come out,
Mhm.
period. Yeah.
Wonderful. I could probably talk to you for another hour, but I think I am going to call it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what are the services that you offer, and are you in person only, or do you also do virtual sessions?
So right
Mhm.
at this time, I'm just starting. It's been a just amazing journey, and we're kind of hitting a milestone, Commune Bliss. And with me presenting Habar, my mission, the Ayurvedic Herb and Spice Haven. Right now, I am working on my website, the Commune Bliss website, where people will be able to go on there and purchase some signature blends that I have individually crafted myself. I'm hoping to do, of course, more pop-up shops, more farmers markets. I would love to, because I'm the goddess of fun as well. So I do a little bit of DJing,
Mm-hmm.
my instrument and all my artwork and all this stuff behind me. So also you might see me at a grocery store DJing and selling my herbs. So
Oh,
there's a lot of, you're going to see more of, Commune Bliss and
okay.
myself. And I definitely am going to bring out my podcast back out, which my podcast, it was a lot to do with spirituality, a lot to do with the taboo. Um, it was a means to put curiosity to an end,
Mm-hmm.
So anything that you're curious about, we talk about, and there's no filter. Yeah.
Awesome. And so, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you to figure out where you're going to be?
Yes. So you can follow me on my social medias, Instagram, Commune Bliss. I'm also on Facebook at Commune Bliss. I go by the name Hari Captain. And on TikTok, that's where I post a lot of my content, where I'm playing a lot, and I'm also formulating the different herbs, and you get to see that. And stay tuned for that website, because once that website, gets going, that's when people will be able to contact me, there.
Yeah, when you get it done, just shoot it to me and I'll update the show notes. Easy peasy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And we'll also get the books that we all talked about like in the show notes too for everyone listening.
Yes,
So
I
we'll
would love.
reference for that. So any last message, anything that you want the audience to know?
Yes. Yes. Have no fear, because synchronicities are here. Okay. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to these meaningful coincidences that come up for you, in your life. And and we talked about the divine messages and stuff like that. So pay attention to those messages, and don't be scared.
All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and thank you for bringing all of your magic to the psychic fair.
Yeah, thank you for communing with me. Thank you for allowing me to be on here to introduce myself. And I hope that we connect more, on the different adventures.
Cool. And thank you to the audience. Thanks for hanging in with us. Be sure to listen to all the commercials so I can get my 11 cents every month and tell your friends. And we'll see you again next time on
Yep.
Let's Get Weird Together.
Let's get weird.
All the
Bye.
weirdness.
Yeah. Let's get weird, get weird, get weird.
Weird, 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 weird. Oh.